Let's start things off today with a genuine mystery. I want you to really think about this for a second. How exactly can a group of people making up less than 0.2% of the entire global population manage to have such an immeasurably vast impact on human civilization? It's a staggering statistic when you actually pause to wrap your head around it. We are talking about a remarkably tiny fraction of humanity. I mean, if you had a room of 1,000 people, that's just two folks. Yet, if you look closely at the very bedrock of our modern history, our culture, our science, and our ethics, their footprint is absolutely undeniably monumental.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are going to take our time to deeply explore the source material provided in the We Must Love Jewish People Guide. We'll be unpacking the complex history, the incredible cultural contributions, and the very urgent, sobering realities facing the Jewish community today. Our goal here is simple, really. We want to step back, move entirely beyond mere stereotypes, and truly understand the enduring legacy of this community. And we'll be doing this guided entirely by the data and the insights drawn straight from our source text. Okay, here is our roadmap for today. We'll be moving logically through four main areas. First up is the enduring Jewish experience. Then we'll look at contributions to humanity, followed by the global anti-Semitism crisis, and finally, love as active resistance. So kicking things off with Section 1, the enduring Jewish experience, triumphs and unwavering spirit. To truly appreciate Jewish people and their journey through history, the source emphasizes that we've got to first understand the profound depth of their experience. They have navigated centuries of persecution with this just remarkable dedication. When we look at how Jewish communities commemorate lost lives, we see something incredibly profound at work. These moments of collective memory, they aren't just about looking backward with sadness. The source notes that these gatherings do something really vital. They actually transform collective grief into determination, and they turn honor into action. It's like this deep sense of shared values that perfectly bridges generations. It becomes an educational imperative to ensure the lessons of history are literally never forgotten, actively igniting a commitment to social justice in everyday interactions.
And that brings us to a really specific, completely defiant declaration of continuity found in the text, Am Yisrael Chai, which translates to the people of Israel live. The guide points out that this single, powerful phrase perfectly captures a spirit that turns historical trauma into a profound wisdom. Think about what that takes. It takes the oppression, the displacement, and the devastating loss experienced over millennia, and it channels all of it into a fierce, unwavering commitment to life, to learning, and to just constantly pushing forward.
So how does that survival manifest practically? Like, what does it look like on the ground? The source highlights three key pillars of intense dedication. First up is cultural preservation. Despite centuries of forced displacement across multiple continents, Jewish people have meticulously maintained their rich traditions, their languages, and their religious practices. Second, we have strong family and community bonds. These tight-knit support systems have literally enabled survival through the absolute darkest historical periods imaginable. And third, global solidarity networks. Jewish communities worldwide maintain these deep, vital connections, supporting one another across borders through mutual aid. They haven't just barely survived the odds, they've actively built incredibly robust systems to thrive.
Moving right along to Section 2, contributions to humanity, a legacy of innovation. Let's see how that survival builds into their massive footprint on the world. The crucial starting point for this legacy of innovation is a foundational value called tikkun olam. Literally translated, it means repairing the world, and it sits at the very heart of Jewish ethical teaching. Now, the source explains that this isn't just a nice theoretical concept, it's a real, actionable mandate. This single principle has inspired generations of Jewish activists to champion justice, equality, and human dignity for all people, not just folks within their own community. It treats social justice not merely as some political stance, but as a sacred, everyday calling to literally leave the world better than how they found it. And that relentless pursuit of knowledge and betterment, well, it leads us right back to that tiny 0.2% demographic we mentioned at the start of this explainer. The text presents a staggering reality here. Check this out. 22% of all Nobel Prizes have been awarded to Jewish laureates. When you contrast 0.2% of the global population with 22% of the world's highest intellectual honors, the disparity is just breathtaking. It beautifully illustrates the profound impact of a deeply rooted cultural emphasis on education, on questioning the status quo, and on the lifelong pursuit of knowledge. The source gives us some phenomenal specific examples to really ground this statistic, crossing all kinds of different disciplines. In science, you have brilliant minds like Albert Einstein, who fundamentally changed our understanding of the universe's fabric with relativity. Then you have Jonas Salk, who developed the polio vaccine and actually chose not to patent it, saving countless global lives in the process. Talk about tikkun olam, right? In law and politics, figures like Ruth Bader Ginsburg championed gender equality, literally reshaping democratic institutions. And in arts and culture, from Leonard Bernstein's timeless musical compositions to Steven Spielberg's groundbreaking cinematic storytelling, the cultural enrichment we've all benefited from is truly borderless.
But this innovative spirit isn't just a matter of history. It's not stuck in the past. It continues to surge today, particularly in the tech and medical sectors. The text explicitly highlights Israel, which is known globally as the startup nation. It's a prime example of this intense entrepreneurial drive, representing a massive hub where Jewish innovators are founding transformative companies, pioneering green technologies, and achieving absolute groundbreaking milestones in modern medicine that affect all of us.
We also must impartially note the text's heavy emphasis on their vast historical and ongoing role in civil rights frameworks. Drawing so often from their own history of marginalization, Jewish leaders marched right alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., literally risking their lives for racial equality. And this advocacy, it's ongoing today. The source details how Jewish women like Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem were at the very forefront of the women's rights movement. Today, this commitment extends to championing LGBTQ+ rights, workers' rights, and supporting vulnerable groups across social justice initiatives in over 180 countries worldwide. Okay, let's look at Section 3, the Global Anti-Semitism Crisis, a Sobering Reality. Having explored all these triumphs, our source material requires us to now pivot. We have to contrast that light with a very dark, sobering reality, the global anti-Semitism crisis. The data presented here is, frankly, alarming. According to reports from the Anti-Defamation League cited in the text, there has been a dramatic, surging increase in anti-Semitic incidents in recent years. We are seeing record-high levels of harassment, vandalism, and violent attacks across North America, Europe, and beyond. These ancient prejudices, they aren't disappearing. Instead, they're mutating. They're finding entirely new life in digital echo chambers, rapidly radicalizing individuals who, 50 years ago, might otherwise never have crossed paths. Tragically, as the source details, this isn't just online hate speech or digital conspiracy theories. Though, to be clear, social media has certainly become a wildly potent breeding ground for normalizing this hate. But this extremism translates into devastating, real-world violence. The text points to terrorist attacks on worshippers at synagogues in places like Pittsburgh, Poway, and Halle. These are absolutely not isolated incidents. They represent a highly disturbing, coordinated global pattern of targeting vulnerable communities precisely when they're at peace and when they are in prayer.
The jarring daily reality Jewish people now face is a stark, heartbreaking contrast to what should be. The ideal of a peaceful spiritual sanctuary has been entirely replaced by a landscape of hypervigilance. The source notes that the simple, everyday act of dropping a child off at a Hebrew school or just attending a synagogue service today often requires congregants to walk through metal detectors, pass by armed security guards, and actually have their children practice active shooter lockdown drills. The text frames this climate of fear as a profound failure of our collective responsibility to protect one another.
So that brings us to our final section, Section 4, Love as Active Resistance, Building Bridges. The source poses a critical question. How do we actually counter this failure? How do we build bridges in an era of rising extremism? Well, the source material is remarkably clear on this point. Loving our Jewish neighbors isn't just a passive, warm sentiment. It is a vital, necessary form of active resistance. When communities intentionally choose solidarity, they create powerful, tangible counterforces to bigotry. The text states that love literally saves lives by creating protective networks that isolate and disrupt radicalization. It heals the deep psychological trauma created by persecution. And ultimately, choosing love and vocal support over silent complacency is what actually transforms society for future generations. Okay, let's get practical and look at the actionable steps the guide outlines for us. Number 1. Attend and support Jewish cultural events and businesses. Simply showing up physically matters. Number 2, speak out. Silence is complicity, so we must actively challenge anti-Semitic jokes and conspiracy theories whenever and wherever we hear them. Number 3, build genuine relationships by taking the time to actually listen to their lived experiences. And 4, amplify Jewish voices on your own platforms rather than speaking over them. Actually, let's hover on step 5 for a second because it is highlighted as particularly vital, recognizing internal diversity. The source emphasizes that the Jewish community is absolutely not a monolith. It spans from strictly Orthodox to entirely secular. It encompasses incredibly diverse heritages. You have Ashkenazi Jews, tracing roots to Eastern and Central Europe, Sephardi Jews, with roots in the Iberian Peninsula, and Mizrahi Jews, hailing from the Middle East and North Africa. It represents a massive array of races and political spectrums. Understanding this rich, beautiful complexity is the absolute best way to break down the simple, monolithic stereotypes that hatred always relies upon to survive.
To conclude this explainer, the source reminds us of a really hard truth. History has a haunting way of looking back and asking, where were the good people when atrocities occur? But the thing is, we don't have to wait for history to judge us. We have the opportunity right now to be the people who speak up and stand up. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought derived directly from the text. Knowing what you know now, how will you embrace the spirit of Tikkun Olam, actively repair the world, and be the person who stands unapologetically against hate today?